Hey, my name's Clayton Olson, and I am a relationship life coach that releases insights on YouTube around relationship philosophy, self-empowerment, authenticity that cuts to the core of the matter so that you can show up more powerful, more trusting, more in alignment with the things that matter in your life. If that sounds fascinating to you, please subscribe by clicking the bell notification and comment below if you find this video helpful. The reason I'm calling this video the hidden superpower of the anxiously attached is because what I've realized over 9 years of working with people one-on-one, a good section of the clients that I'm in dialogue with have an anxious attachment in terms of how they see relationship and how they show up in relationship. And if you don't know what anxious attachment is, then I'm going to include a video link in the description that you can check out where I summarize anxious, secure, and avoidant. But I'm also going to provide a summary here. Chances are if you clicked on this video, you already know what anxiously attached means. But for those of you that don't, an anxiously attached person or an anxious orientation in relationship is a person who has a way of being in a relationship where there is a preoccupation with space and distance and frequency within the connection. There is an insecurity around the relationship disappearing if they're not kind of actively engaged in it, if they're not looking at it, if they take their eyes off of it. There's a lack of trust that it's going to still be there. There's often a doubting of your value. There is often a movement into your own mind with self-defeating thoughts around the relationship ending and crumbling. And then it typically leads to some type of compensatory behavior where maybe you're texting the person or you're wanting them to be more in frequent communication with you. There is a fear that bubbles up when they're not in communication with you. It can be a really painful spot to be. Sometimes what anxiously attached individuals will also do is they will preemptively end the connection because being with the tension of the space is too much for them. They don't feel like they have the capacity to be in that space. Here's the interesting piece that I've discovered working with folks around anxious attachment and helping people move more into secure attachment, more into trust, more into confidence, more into being able to allow the relationship to take form without them having to actively engage in it consistently. There's oftentimes an anxiety that comes with being anxiously attached. They are anxious about being anxiously attached. So there's a shame, there's a hiding, there is a way in which one is not owning this orientation within themselves that actually creates a duplicate or exponential level of anxiety already on being anxiously attached. So I'm anxiously attached about being anxiously attached, which means I might be trying to hide this orientation. I might be stuffing feelings and stuffing communication rather than speaking from this place, asking for what I need, inviting reassurance to be in the relationship, inviting more consistency to be in the relationship. And I think this is the real problem. It's not the anxiously attached piece that's the issue. It's actually to allow you to come into greater rapport and acceptance and maybe get in touch with the hidden superpower of being anxiously attached so that you can actually start to be more in gratitude and maybe even fall in love with this part of you rather than demonize it, try to cut it off, or hate it out of existence. One thing that I know, having worked with people for this long, is that you can't hate a part of you out of your system. You can't shame a part of you out of your system. You can't cut a part of you out because all that actually does is it causes that part to have more energy. It creates more resistance. It actually gives more life to that part and it creates more of an internal conflict. If you're wanting to change something about you, it's almost a prerequisite. I would say not just almost, it is a prerequisite that we change it from a place of learning to love and accept it first, because then the motivation for changing it becomes actually a higher fuel, higher octane by which to do that. When we come into more rapport with being anxiously attached, we actually have more capacity, ability, and bandwidth to be able to then move more into being securely attached. That's the point of this video, is to give you a perspective on why being anxiously attached is a superpower. You can see the opportunity here. You can see the brilliance in being anxiously attached. And you could take what has looked like a wound, you can begin to see that it's actually something that's in your corner, and it's about learning to harness the superpower rather than dismiss it, demonize it, and cut it off. To illustrate this point, I want to talk about a comic book hero. His name is Cyclops. He's an X-Men. As I was thinking about the content of this video, and sometimes this image just pops into my mind when I'm working with clients, it's almost like this guy Cyclops who, as he was learning to harness the superpower, before he did that, he shoots lasers out of his eyes. And it's not something he can do by choice. So anytime he would open his eyes and look at something, he would destroy it or damage it or burn it up with these lasers. Through this piece of technology, these glasses that he puts on that has one lens and hence the name Cyclops, he's actually able to harness this laser, the superpower, and he's able to control the context in which it operates. He's able to use the superpower rather than have the superpower use him, which turns what seemed like a curse into a gift, something that makes him incredibly unique and powerful in his own way. I see anxious attachment the same way, and I'd love for you to begin just to open the door inside of your mind and see how this can be a superpower for you. I'm going to riff on a couple ways in which I see this come out, and the gift, the true gift of this orientation. One way in particular is that the anxiously attached individual, the person who's experiencing this relationship anxiety, this dating anxiety, actually has a superpower in being able to track space, distance, and the tremors in a relationship. There's a way that your nervous system can actually see problems possibly before they happen. You can see issues when they're really small before they get big. If you're not anxiously attached, there's some things that you might be missing. And granted, there's some things maybe it's important to miss. Sometimes we can create problems with that orientation, and that's most likely what you're in touch with. But the other side, the light side of it, is that you can actually see things. You can see problems and things that might need to be talked to, addressed, while they're small, before they turn into mountains that are insurmountable with you and your partner. You can begin to see that this orientation is powerful in the sense that you're able to see things and track things that other people can't around relationship, which in one way you could say makes you a master of understanding and seeing distance and space and frequency within a connection. Where it becomes not manageable is when suddenly we have a bunch of fear that is evoked from seeing this, and then we feel like we need to react to it to fix or save something. The next point about how this is a superpower, your ability to see things through this lens and have this perspective on a relationship and to be able to track the nuances and the connection so particularly and so powerfully, the anxiety that is evoked from being able to have that view points directly to where your work is, psycho-emotionally and spiritually. I believe that moving into secure attachment with ourselves and with life and with other people may be the holy grail to fulfillment, because what it allows us to do is trust. It allows us to actually stop taking over responsibility and to allow things to take a form that maybe we can't imagine that's even better than what we thought. The other element of this anxious attachment being a superpower is the anxiety that gets evoked through you stepping into a connection with somebody that you want, someone that you're attracted to, somebody that you're in relationship with. It is the doorway. It is the gateway for you to do some of the deepest, most powerful, most important work on yourself spiritually and psycho-emotionally. And so in that regard, it gives us purpose and it gives us a clear path. It might be scary. It might feel very difficult at times. It might feel like we don't have the capacity to do it, but it's a worthwhile endeavor and there is a clear path. And this is where working with a coach, working with somebody who can be in a transformative dialogue with you and create that secure attachment and help you begin to reframe your beliefs and see life differently can change your life from that relationship onward, where it bleeds out into the way that you interact with everything in life. The other piece I'll put out here about this too is that the anxious attached person, you will develop a superpower at communication, at being able to be in communication with other people when you learn to speak through the anxiety from a place of asking for what you want, being able to name what your boundaries are, being able to decipher and see what your needs are. This provides the perfect territory for you to start to distinguish what is it that I need to do to self-regulate, and what is it perhaps that I'm wanting or asking for as a request from my partner. You can end up becoming have superpower communication with somebody that you're in relationship with as a result of learning how to communicate through the weight and the gravity of the anxiety. It really allows you to not only see things in a nuanced way, but then you can begin to speak to things in a nuanced way, which is kind of like weight training in some ways. Like you learn how where maybe the weight of the anxiety feels too much, but as you begin to become a master of this, there is a new way that you can be and communicate around this that truly can be magnificent. I've seen that happen with my clients. Finally, the other element that I want to encourage you to look at is to see just how much you actually have to teach other people about relationship, people that you are in relationship with. That does not mean that it's not a two-way street. You will absolutely learn things from your partner as well, and it's important to be a student. But I can tell you, as someone who had more of an avoidant orientation in my late 20s and early 30s, through being in relationship with someone who had more of an anxious attachment in terms of how they relate in relationship, I have learned so much about how to be relational from them. I have learned so much about how I am unconsciously too much in my sovereign, or not relational, or not being reciprocal, or being afraid of being too connected in relationship. Some anxiously attached folks, my partner specifically, has been some of my greatest teachings in relationship. This is not isolated to just her. This applies to you watching this video if you are anxiously attached. And so the more that you can stand in your value and realize that there are gifts that you can bring into relationship, owning this aspect about you, not in a righteous way, but owning it in a way where you understand that there's an inherent value and that you're not broken. You can build something magnificent. You can build a relationship that is truly magnificent where both of you move more and more into secure attachment together if you are dating someone who tends to be more avoidant. So those are the 3 ways that I see anxiously attached individuals as having this really hidden superpower. And I hope that you can take one element from this video and begin to apply it in your life and to just sit with this information. Allow it to become wisdom. Allow yourself to see how does my relationships with people change when I adopt this as true? What shifts about the way that I speak with them? What shifts about the way maybe I am with myself in those moments of space and silence? Where can I bring more trust? Where can I bring more ownership of who I am? And I believe that that is a fundamental building block of coming more into secure attachment. So thank you for watching. I'd love to hear in the comment section if you found this helpful, number 1. And 2, are you anxiously attached? Are you securely attached? Are you avoidantly attached? Comment below. Let me know. I'd love to see just how this plays out. I have an idea of how many people on my channel are falling into this specific orientation, but it would be great to get your comment as well. So leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.